Since the release of Thunderball in 1965, we have enjoyed numerous James Bond films. However, this one stands out significantly in the history of the franchise. It is not necessarily the best film in the entire spy saga, nor the most expensive, but it is one of the most iconic Bond installments. It arrived at exactly the right time and captivated fans in just the right way. The plot tells us that, led by the one-eyed villain Largo, the mediocre Largo, the terrorist group Spectre hijacks 2 nuclear warheads from a NATO plane and threatens widespread nuclear destruction. To extort £100 million, the dashing Agent 7 is sent to recover the warheads from the heart of Largo's hideout in the Bahamas, facing underwater attacks from both sharks and men. He must also persuade the charming Domino, Largo's lover, to become a key ally. In 1959, Bond creator Ian Fleming began considering a cinematic version of his character and collaborated with producer Kevin McClory and writer Jack Whittingham on a screenplay treatment they eventually developed. Fleming ultimately grew tired of the film industry and returned home to Jamaica to write his next Bond novel. That novel was Thunderball. He was later sued, as the novel used elements from the screenplay they had worked on together. The case was settled out of court, but McClory obtained certain rights to Thunderball in the process and eventually served as a producer on the film. Terrence Young was not the original director for the project. Producers Albert Broccoli and Harry Saltzman initially wanted Guy Hamilton, fresh off the success of the third Bond film, Goldfinger, but Hamilton simply didn't have the energy for the project. He felt he was out of ideas, and although he was very fond of Bond, he believed he had nothing to contribute at that moment until he could recharge his creative batteries. The producers then turned to Terrence Young, who had directed both Dr. No and From Russia with Love. Thunderball would be his last Bond film. Later, director Hamilton would once again direct Connery in Diamonds Are Forever and Roger Moore in Live and Let Die, as well as The Man with the Golden Gun. Hundreds of actresses were considered for the key role of Domino. She was supposed to be the most complex Bond girl to date, and the producers auditioned hundreds of actresses for the role. Among the biggest names were Julie Christie, Raquel Welch, and Faye Dunaway. But the role ultimately went to Claudine Auger, a former Miss France, who proved to be perfect for the part. The Bell rocket belt used in the film's opening sequence was a fully functional jetpack, and 2 skilled pilots were brought to France to operate it for the scene where Bond takes off. Bill Suter, who flew the jetpack on camera, was initially asked if he would mind flying without a helmet so that Bond would look cooler. He immediately refused for safety reasons, so Connery wears a helmet in the final film. Martine Bisick recalled an incident during production involving Sean Connery. One day after they had finished filming, there were hundreds of people gathered on the beach watching the set. Connery called over his hairstylist and said, "Here you go," before simply removing his wig and tossing it to the stylist. The wig flew like a frisbee, and the stylist caught it in one smooth motion. Connery then exclaimed, "That's it, I'm done for the day." Everyone watching burst into laughter. In the underwater scenes where Bond encounters sharks, Sean Connery was supposed to be protected by clear plastic panels that would shield him from the sharks in the close-ups. However, these panels only extended about 3 feet high, and the sharks were able to swim over them. As a result, in some scenes, Connery was much closer to real sharks than he wanted to be. The director later said in an interview that the scenes in the film where Bond reacts in fear as a shark approaches were actually Connery's genuine reactions, showing real terror as the shark swam toward him, unblocked by the plastic barrier. This is the only Bond film in which we see all the Zero agents in a single shot. They are summoned to M's briefing, and 7 is the last to arrive. He sits in the only available chair, the 7th from the left. Only one of the other 00 agents is revealed, as most of them are filmed from behind. The budget for this film was larger than the combined budgets of the first 3 Bond films. It is rumored that a Royal Navy engineer approached the film's producers after the premiere to ask how they designed the diving rebreather. Apparently, he had been working on something very similar but couldn't quite figure it out. He was devastated when the producers revealed their secret. The actors were simply holding their breath. Martine Basic, who played one of the girls in From Russia with Love and Paula Kaplan in this film, was tanned in the movie. However, before filming began in the Bahamas, she was required to spend about 2 weeks sunbathing to achieve the appropriate tan for a native island girl. Now Molly Peters played Nurse Pat, who takes care of Sean Connery in the film, and she holds the honor of being the first Bond girl to undress on screen. At the time, this was considered bold and controversial. A significant portion of the film scenes was cut from the movie, but she still holds the honor of being the first Bond girl to appear nude on screen. She recently passed away at the age of 75 and had a brief acting career spanning only a handful of films, but this one put her on the map.
Here we end. Thank you for your attention. Like and subscribe. There are many interesting things ahead. Good luck.